Hello and welcome to the commentary for the Hitch introduction. Let's get started. Hitch is a great movie, by the way. It's a really nice movie. It's a romantic comedy. It's funny, starring Will Smith. And I have used Hitch many times in my classes in San Francisco. I will use the whole movie, not just one scene, but I will teach the entire movie little by little. And what I do, it's called the Focal Skills Movie Technique. But it sounds great, but it's really quite simple. I show one scene of a movie, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, and I show it normal speed. Then I go back. Then I show it again, and I pause, and I explain new vocabulary, slang, and idioms. Then I go back again. Then the third time, I turn the sound off, and then I play part of a scene, I pause, and I ask the students questions about the movie. I might say, what's happening here? Describe this character. What do you think he is thinking? Why is he doing this? What is this person doing? Describe the place where they are at. What are they saying to each other? Anyway, I ask a lot of questions about what's happening in the movie. Then, after we finish that 3 times, I go to the next scene, and we do the same thing again. So one movie usually takes a few weeks to show. But it works really well. It's very, very popular. My students love it. It's the most popular thing I do in my class. And so I started thinking, okay, this is really popular. Students love it. How can I do this on Effortless English? It's more difficult. I can't show you the movie on Effortless English. But I thought maybe I could record scenes from the movie, the audio, and then I could use that for the basic lesson. And then I could make vocabulary lessons and mini-story lessons to help you understand that movie scene. So that's why this Hitch introduction, it's my first try, my first experiment to see if I can start using movies. Steve Kaufman at The Linguist and I think we disagree about movies. He doesn't like movies. He thinks movies are not very good for learning language. He thinks they're not intensive enough, and I understand his point. There's a lot more language concentrated in a book, an audio book, or an audio article. However, I disagree. I think they're fantastic ways to learn languages, fantastic sources, because the thing I like about movies, number one, movies use more natural, conversational English. Books, even authentic, real, native speaker articles or books, they use a writing style of English. It's a little bit more formal than what we actually use when we speak. Because when we speak, we use a lot more idioms, we use a lot more slang, we use words like ain't, gonna, wanna, all those kind of things we use every single day. If you listen to 2 Americans talking to each other, they do not sound like written English. It's different kind of English. It's not better or worse, but it is a little bit different. Movies are closer to that kind of English, the kind of English you hear on the streets. If you walk around San Francisco, people speak more like you hear in the movies, not so much like you hear or see in books. So I think movies are a great way to learn real conversational English, casual English. And especially Americans are quite casual. When we speak, we usually are casual. Even if I speak to my boss, I'm not formal. I'm very casual when I speak to my boss, when I speak to teachers, when I speak to my parents. I'm very casual. So I like movies for that reason. Another reason I like movies have a continuous story. So you can understand the vocabulary and the phrases and the slang. There's a big context. You understand the whole situation, and especially when you can see it, you understand more how the vocabulary is used, in what situations the vocabulary is used. And a third reason, I think movies are great for memory, because you not only hear the language, but you have a picture to connect with the language. So if you hear the line, any man can sweep any woman off her feet, sweep off her feet. Well, you could memorize that phrase and you could read it in an article. That's okay. But if you see the movie Hitch, you will have some images, you will have some pictures from the movie to connect with that phrase. And it will help you remember the phrase much, much, much more easily. So, for all of those reasons, I think movies actually are very powerful ways to learn languages, if you use them correctly. Just watching a movie, full speed, one time, it's not good. It's not efficient. Steve is right. It's not a good way. To use movies correctly, you really need to watch it scene by scene. You need to repeat the scenes many times. Now, if you don't have a teacher to help you, like my class, I can help them. I can do it. But if you're on your own, you're at your home, you're doing this yourself, here's what you can do. Buy a DVD or rent a DVD. Let's say Hitch. I recommend do it with Hitch. You put it in, and maybe you watch it one time to get the general idea. But to study with it, to learn with it, you go back and you do what I do in my class. You play one scene, you use English subtitles, and you play the scene one time, trying to get the general idea. Then you go back, you pause after 1 minute or 2 minutes, you go back to the beginning of the scene, you play it again. This time, every time you don't understand a word or phrase, you pause. You write it down in your little notebook or something, and you use your dictionary, and you find out, oh wow, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? If it's an idiom or slang, you might need to get on the internet. Go to Google and type in English idioms. There are many different websites, so you can find some of those idioms, some of that slang. You can find it on the internet, the meaning. So you go through the scene little by little, right? Step by step, finding all the new words and phrases and slang and idioms that you can find. If you can't find something, just don't worry about it. Just forget it. Keep going. Just get as much as you can. After that, go back again. Watch the scene one more time. This time, you should understand more. Then, go to the next scene. Repeat the same process. It will take you some time to go through all of the movie. But the good thing is you will be learning real conversational English as native speakers use it on the street in real conversations. You won't be learning the textbook English that nobody uses. You won't be using or learning more formal English, which people do use, but maybe not as much. You'll be using average, everyday conversational English. That's good. So that's one great way to use movies. One reason I love movies, using them in class. And I think that's why they're very popular with my students. My students often complain, wow, I know all the textbook English. I understand all this grammar that I've studied all these years. And I can read articles. I can read TOEFL articles and understand them. But I go to the bus stop. 2 Americans are talking to each other. I can't understand them. I don't know what they're saying. It's because they're using casual English. They're using a lot of idioms. They're using slang. They're speaking quickly. All those reasons. They're not speaking the way the textbooks speak. So, that's my sales pitch. Use movies. Now for Hitch, if you like this, if you like me using this movie, if you like this lesson, please tell me. Go to the forums and write a comment. Just tell me, AJ, please use more movies. If you tell me that, if members tell me they want movies, I will do this more. Maybe I'll do the next scene in Hitch. Maybe I'll go through most of Hitch, scene by scene, and do lessons for each part. And eventually you could do the whole movie this way. So if you like that idea, please tell me. If no one tells me, I might not do it, because it is a lot of work. I want to make sure that you like that. But one important part of this is that you need the pictures, right? Just listening to the audio is okay, but you really should watch the movie at least one time. So to get the most power from this lesson, please go rent the movie Hitch. Okay, the movie name is Hitch. The star is Will Smith, the actor. rent the movie at least one time. Then, when you hear the audio from Effortless English, you can remember some of the pictures. You can remember what's happening in the story because you saw the movie. So it's very important to go get this movie and watch it. It will be much better than just listening to Effortless English only. If you watch it first, then the lessons will be more powerful for you. Okay, finally, I have one more suggestion for you for using movies. And that is, movies are great for pronunciation work, for improving your pronunciation. In fact, with my private students, I use movies all the time to help them with pronunciation. In fact, I use this speech at the beginning of Hitch. I've used it many, many, many times. The reason is this. One, as I said already, movies use conversational English, usually. Depends on the movie, but usually. And number two, often or usually, the actors have very good pronunciation. A movie like Hitch with Will Smith, a movie like About a Boy with Hugh Grant, they have excellent pronunciation, right? They're professionals. They get paid a lot of money to speak well, to speak powerfully, to have really clear, strong English speech. So they're good people to imitate. Imitate Julia Roberts, imitate Will Smith, imitate Hugh Grant. If your pronunciation is like theirs, you will sound fantastic. So I like using these movie scenes for pronunciation. Here's what you do. Use the audio from this lesson, Hitch intro audio, the MP3, the original from the movie. And first listen to it many times, over 1 week, 2 weeks, listen to it until you understand it easily. Then start pausing. After every sentence, pause and repeat the line, repeat the sentence. Try to copy Will Smith's pronunciation exactly. When I say exactly, I mean copy his pauses. Where does he pause? Where does he stop? Where does he speak quickly? Which words go together quickly? Which words are separated by a pause? Copy his intonation. When does he go up? And when does he go down? Copy his loudness, his volume. When does he speak more loudly? When does he speak more quietly? Copy his emotion. When is he sounding like he's a little bit funny? When is he sounding like he's serious? Copy all of those things. And of course, copy actually the words, how he says the words. But all those other things are very, very, very important. You will need to do this. Well, you could do this every day for 1 year. You could probably do this every day for 10 years. But do it over a long period of time. Each time, you will get better and better. It's slow. Pronunciation takes some time. It takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of careful listening. It's not fast and easy, I'll be honest, it's not. But if you can do it, little by little, and if you use something like from a movie, it's a little more interesting, I guarantee your pronunciation will improve. It will get much better. My students that I work with, my private students, when they do this, when they use Hitch, for example, to practice pronunciation, it's amazing. Over a few months, 3, 4, 5 months, their pronunciation is so much better. So please try this. It will help you a lot. All right, that's the end of my comments. I guess this is mostly a commentary that contains a lot of suggestions. I'm trying to suggest to you different ways to use movies to study and improve your English. I think most of you will enjoy using movies more than using textbooks. And maybe more than articles, I don't know. Depends on each student. Alrighty, I will see you next time. And remember, if you like me using the movies, if you want me to use more movies, then please write a comment in the forums. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.